in honor of National Ag Day, we've got Craig Haugaard right here live with us this morning. So we're grateful, Craig, could take some time out of his schedule to be with us. So how are things in the ag commodity world, Greg?
Well, much as they've been the last 2-3 months here, we're kind of experiencing, certainly on the grain side, some depressed prices and waiting for the Chinese situation to get resolved and maybe breathe a little life into it, into those markets. But it's an interesting time. Of course, we're coming up now with later this month, we'll get the spring planted acres intentions report and start to focus, instead of focusing on China and South American crop, we'll start focusing again on what's going to get planted in the U.S. and how those plantings proceed.
So I read an article this morning, was out in Reuters. I don't know if you saw it yet, but it says, I'll just read the headline: U.S. growers are betting the farm on soybean amid China trade war. And, it went on to talk about how farmers are hoping this trade deal happens. They are somewhat assuming that it's going to happen. They are over planning maybe soybean, hoping that they're going to be able to make up for some of the losses they had last year. I guess it concerned me a little bit because I feel more confident that we are going to get a trade deal than we're not. But at the same time, I know farmers don't have a lot of, they can't wait. They've got to make these decisions real soon here, when they're going to plant, what they are going to plant. What is I know it's different everywhere, but what's the kind of average, like when's the drop dead date on average that they got to get planted and know what they're planting, I should say?
Yeah, and like you said, Dan, that really depends on where they're at in the Corn Belt.
Yeah.
The crop insurance has different dates kind of scattered throughout. But frankly, at this point, most of the seeds have been purchased. By and large, those decisions have been made. I think a lot of those were made in February when you set the baseline prices on crop insurance. And I'll be honest with you, what we're seeing for seed sales in our company, and I spent last week out in California and doing some strategic planning and whatnot, and heard from a lot of agronomy folks across the United States. They're not seeing that. What we're seeing is that we believe that soybean acres will be lower this year and corn will be a touch higher.
Okay.
Informa is probably the most respected private analyst out there, and they came out earlier this week. They're projecting like 85.5 million acres of beans this year, which would be down a fair amount from last year.
Okay.
So, with all due respect to Reuters, it's not being borne out by what we're seeing in seed purchases so far this year.
Well, you guys are much, more of an accurate gauge to that since you're dealing in the bottom line there of what they're purchasing, and that's important. What is the general tone out there about we've got a $12 billion American aid kind of program, in the sense that, China's committed to buying $12 billion worth from American farmers. So one would think, at least that's what the deal is right now. And I guess that's a lot of what they were expecting. It says the U.S. government estimates farmers will have 900 million bushels, or approximately 8 billion of last year's soybean in storage silos still.
Right. Yeah, and that's probably the big story with soybeans. Frankly, the Chinese situation has obviously hindered exports, but we were going to have a monster carryout regardless of whether China was in our market or not.
Okay.
The last report pegged it at 900 million bushel carryout. Based on what I'm seeing so far on exports, I think it'll probably be higher than that. I think we'll probably push a billion bushels. If you look down at South America, of course, and their harvest is well underway. Rio Grande do Sul area of Brazil is wrapping up soybean harvest right now, and they're kind of the go-to spot in terms of exports as their crop comes off the field. And they had a pretty good year. I think it's the third largest crop in the history of Brazil. And then when you throw Argentina in, who had a drought disaster a year ago and had a huge crop this year, and South American production is the biggest we've ever seen. So there's just a lot of beans looking for a home in the world right now, and that's going to suppress prices. As far as China goes, we did see, at least I got a call yesterday from the exporter that I work most closely with, that China was in and snooping around a little bit. So I do think they're in the marketplace. They're looking to do some buying, and we did see that firm up the basis just a little bit yesterday in terms of what we could sell on rail.